Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your sensei, Alba. And I'm out here in the deep green in the sun. And as long as it's sunny, it's cold. But right now, it's 16 degrees. But in the sun, it feels like 75. That's the beauty of solar power, right? Anyway, there's so much stuff that is never told. You know, Thucydides, the Greek scholar who worked for the Romans as the father of written history. And he wrote the story of the Peloponnesian Wars. And, before that, they were just tales and myths and Plato and Socrates and other great Greeks and Romans would philosophize about it. But, and they would, they would speak to the rich kids, right? Alexander the Great is a good example. Plato was and Socrates were his teachers. And so that's where he got his greatness, right? Because he was just a little nebbish in the shadow of his bully dad. And um, and that is history, in the shadow of our bully dads. So Polly Murray was a LGBTQ everything else black person who was born biologically out of mom's gate, was a black little girl, but always felt that she was a guy. And there is a show, I think, on some, Hulu, Netflix, whatever. Right now, it's the opening of the movie. Oh, that thing in Colorado. I forget what they call it. But it's, they show a bunch of movies and people say, oh, that's great. And they give them awards and stuff like that. And that's how the buzz gets around on a film. And someone, the people who made the movie about Ruth Ginsburg, LBG, LBG talks about how she wouldn't be who she was unless it was Polly Murray. Polly Murray was this brilliant person, and they were a lawyer, they were a scholar, they were a poet, they were a playwright. They had the highest entrance qualifications to go to Harvard Law School, but Harvard wouldn't let them in because she was a girl and black. And they also, they had black men before, but not too many. But she was a girl who said she was a guy and was black. And it was like, whoa. And FDR's wife was good friends with Polly Murray. And they both wrote letters to Harvard saying, you should let this person in. You will do good. That person will shine for you. And every single, before Martin Luther King, before Malcolm X, before the first black Supreme Court judge, before Ruth, was Polly Murray. And as a lawyer, so they went to law school, Howard, and then practiced and made amazing things and wrote amazing scholarship and then taught and then went off to Europe and then came back and then basically was in a big time New York law firm where they made a lot of money, because up until then, this person, brilliant, really had no money like any other black folk, right? And so then they went up to Africa, and Africa was a little whoops. So she came back to New York and went and got her. She had a law degree from Howard, but she went and got a PhD from Yale. And then, she had quite this, the curriculum vitae, and went around and got jobs and wrote, and 15 years before Rosa Parks, Paulie did the same thing. Wouldn't move. Was sat in the white part of the bus and wouldn't move, right? And that's where Rosa got the idea. Meaning Rosa wasn't just some lady schlep who had a bad day and decided that, she wouldn't get out of the chair, and then she became, No, Rosa was a movement person. So everybody, in the movement, in the 30s, 40s, knew of Paulie because Paulie was brilliant, scholarly, educated, um, and wrote like you can't believe. Wrote poetry and was published and wrote novels and wrote legal things and wrote scholarly things. And if you want to see, I'm not saying I'm like Polly Murray, but I am a African American that is melanin challenged, and I would say you guys should go to xratted.blogspot.com, my greot publishing, and see what's on there, right? And get a hold of me. Leave comments there. I'd love that. And the kind of comments I get from whoever reads it, or this, I don't know, or this is interesting, or or hey, nice glasses, in the chat world, I would really love to hear folk speak of something. So right now, as you can see, the sun is right in my face. So there's a black screen and little tiny things, and I only have one pair of sunglasses, to see what you guys are texting. Now I want you to text, chat away, chat amongst yourselves. I'll go back and look at this stuff. And if you go on to my dudeawake42 at Gmail, I will contact you personally. And I have a personal contact with lots of folk, so and my PayPal is there. So if you want to drop anything, and it's during this winter, it has been saving my butt, I tell you. And everything from some people drop some serious, a couple $100 in there, and that's very nice. And other people put what they can, $5, $10, and that's nice too because it makes my heart go, oh, I feel so warm. So I don't, everybody who's donated, I want to thank you, right? And keep it up, right? Go to the dudeawake42 at Gmail and put something in my PayPal. I would love that. So last night, just to do a little sidebar, it was 28 degrees below 0 Celsius, right? Outside. And it was about 28 degrees. No, it was warmer than that. It was maybe 38 degrees inside my little box. And that was with my little electric space heater cooking, right? So nothing froze inside. I didn't freeze inside, but it was cold. And I live in a rainforest, so everything is soggy. Even when it's beautiful, sunny, and it hasn't rained for, things are still moist. So inside my box, things are moist. I'm moist. Someone said, "Boy, your skin is so nice." Yes, because it's like I'm swimming in a liquid, and we are bags of water. So my skin looks very nice. So anyway, it was so cold, and where my bed is in the back of my box is it's right kind of into the woods, so it's moister than the other side where my chair is. That when the sun is up, I kind of get sun in that part of the box. And the walls are only that thick, and it only has like that much of insulation, right? I mean, that's something. And it's relatively sealed. Um, but it's so last night, I read and I typed and I listened to alternative radio, which is a great show. If you go to WTSU, which is Tennessee's University of Eastern Tennessee, their flagship school, really great school, great professors, great classes, great everything, and they have their own radio station, and you can listen to them and they have great shows. They have your weekly constitutional and your daily constitutional, and they have alternative radio. They have uh, what's that? I forget. A very nice spiritual show, and they have with good reason, and they have what I really they do a number of shows. They produce a number of shows themselves, which a lot of public radio, they just buy it, right, from National Public Radio. And but these guys produce their own, so they have a whole department in their school and hooked up with other schools in Appalachia and West Virginia and Kentucky, and they do a show on on Appalachia, which is an amazing show because they really make the connection of how Appalachia is a component part of the rest of humanity, just not the stereotype of little Abner. And so last night I was listening to that, and Thursday night is the best night. There's All Things Considered, then there's Fresh Air, and then there's The Moth, and then there is Alternative Radio, and then there's Big Picture Science, and then there's the BBC, right? So I was listening to that. And I was typing away on my newest version of Legends Anthology, and it got to be around 12 o'clock, and I'm starting to feel a little drowsy. And I've gotten my first jab of the Corona-19. My doctor got me the jab. He likes me, and he said, I don't know about this. When I asked him about 2 or 3 months ago, so what about this vaccine thing? He goes, well, I'm really not quite sure. And he said to me, okay, so what happens? You are definitely in that thing. You're almost you're 70. You're you got everything. That'll kill you if you get 19. So you're definitely into that. So when we get our little package of stuff, and everyone who works in the clinic gets what they want, because it's pretty amazing. A good third, or maybe 20% of that place. Those people didn't get it. I asked one nurse, why aren't you going to get it? You're ahead of everybody. Why aren't you going to get it? She goes, well, I have all these allergies. I just don't want to take the chance. Okay. Another one said, well, I want to get pregnant. Me and my husband are trying to get pregnant, and I don't, I don't want to. Anyway, a lot of that 20% had valid excuses. But the rest, everyone got the shot. So my doctor said, so if I deem it good enough for me, I'm going to the top of the list, right? And because nobody else signed up. So it was Monday, and I basically went in there. They do a great job of getting me all of my medicines, and they fit me into all kinds of categories because they're a nonprofit thing, and they're a national thing, and they're hooked up with a international thing. So they can, better than, this is like single payer healthcare. I go in there and I pay them, I don't know, $60 a year for my healthcare. That's pretty good for a guy like me. And they, can squeeze me into these different programs where I like my diabetes medicine. They get me that within their construct. So I don't have, when I lost that at another place, because I was no longer at that other place, I had, instead of getting it from them, it was out of pocket, and that was like $2,800 a month. Forget it, never going to afford that. So they squeezed me into a program. So I have to, because I have no real place to mail stuff. They have it delivered to their place, and I went by looking for it, and the lady at the desk said, that's amazing. I said, what's amazing? She goes, I just called your number and told you that you're on the list, and anytime you want to come by this week, before the list gets long, we can just take care of you. And that was like, a minute ago. Did you get that message? I said, no, I'm just looking for my other, my medicines. And so she said, well, I'm going to go check with the doctor and the head nurse, and I think you can get your jab. So Monday I got my jab. And that's, telling you probably more than I needed to tell you, but I just wanted to show you what it takes to get any kind of health care, right? Because in the 3 counties, and, this is like, luckily, this thing is a national thing, so you don't have to be living at a certain address to, get assistance. As long as you're in the bioregion of them, they can fit you into their categories. So, and the head guy, my doctor, likes me. And so he always, when I go see him to get like blood work or this work and he does a very nice job at taking care of my legs and my feet. And so he likes it, so he signs me up around between 2 and 4. He knows I have to get home before 4, so between 2 and 4, he signs me up. I'll be his last patient. So he comes in, and so we can take a nice long conversation about whatever he wants to talk about, because that's what he likes me, because he can ask me questions instead of me asking him questions. So anyway, that's how I got the jab. So I got it, and they had me sit in the room for about 20 minutes just to make sure I didn't grow wings or something, and they let me go, and I felt okay. But what was really interesting was, and I said, so the side effects, and he said, well, you'll sense something, um, you know, in a 72-hour thing, right? Like, okay. So that evening, I went home and I'm reading, and I started feeling a really strangeness in this hand, right here, and that's right where I got shot when I worked for the New York City Housing Authority. And the the bullet didn't go in me, but I grabbed the barrel of a gun and pushed it down so no one would get shot. This guy was about to shoot some other guy, and it was in an apartment that was full of kids and women and grandmas and about 20 other guys with guns. And if that guy shot the other guy who was going to kill, everybody else would have pulled out their gun and started shooting, and everyone would have died. And that would have been like 15, 20 kids, about 8 grandmas, about 12 mamas, and a lot of other people. So I basically was standing trying to negotiate between these two, and both of these guys knew me well. Knew, I had negotiated. Don't sell the drugs near the school. Don't sell the drugs near the basketball. Go to, wanted, abandoned buildings. I'm taking over abandoned. I gave them an abandoned building. And that whole New Jack City kind of came from what we were doing. And but they didn't have us in there. So anyway, the um, I grabbed the gun. So he was he pulled the gun out. He was about to shoot that guy, and no one else had quite got their guns out. And I grabbed the barrel and I pushed it down, and the gun went off, and the bullet didn't go through my hand. It grazed. It grazed right between my thumb and my finger, and the hot gases coming out of it um, basically burnt and tore off my palm. So if you can see, I have very weird scars, so all these crazy lines, and I kind of don't really have a palm anymore. Whereas my other hand, I have a really big palm. But this one, it kind of got blown off, and it, you know, didn't hit a vein, didn't hit um, a bone. It didn't really break my hand, but it blew off the fascia of this, and all the blood. And the fascia is the thing that's kind of the sponge between your skin and your muscles, and it kind of blew off that. And so there was a lot of liquid, a lot of bloody liquid. And when the first thing, it like splattered this white wall to, my hand went like this, and it kind of splattered. There was a white couch, a white rug, and a white wall. It just splattered everything with blood. And it looked very, oh my God, he's going to die. But it just really, I really didn't lose that much blood. But I kind of looked at it and, went down for the count. And my partner, who was like a killing machine, she was the first woman to ever graduate the Army Ranger School. And she was so good. She was top in her class. And this was, oh, kind of, when Ronald Reagan was president, so she didn't have a war to fight in. And so they made her, right away, they made her a master sergeant and a teacher. And she wanted to go into something and kill people, just not make guys miserable. So anyway, she left that. She went to New York City Police Department because she grew up in New York. And she was too hard case for those guys. She scared all the policemen. So she went and worked at the New York City Housing Authority as one of their policemen. They used to have their own police department. And she took care of a whole, 8 million, 20,000 people kind of thing, right? and no one wanted to be her partner. And so when I finally, because we did this housing authority thing of our own, where we took over abandoned buildings in this neighborhood and put 500 families, from the street. They had to be families, not, I mean, people who were like druggies and anarchists and as Lenin would say, Stalinist obstructionists. We, said, hey, there's a building over there, but you'll just be loosely affiliated with our, we are mostly going to house families, kids, moms, and and the city fought us tooth and nail. I mean, you think things are because they were abandoned buildings. They would come in, right in, break the door down, and beat us up. They wouldn't arrest us. They would just, try to. We were like cockroaches to them. But we had good lawyers. We had Ralph Nader. We had a few other really good lawyers, and we kept winning in court. And I had a master electrician's license, so the if you want to stay in a house, get legal electricity, get an electric building. That is when the marshal comes in and they said, okay, we're evicting you. You go, why? Well, you're legally staying here. And then you show them the electric bill and they got to go away. So that's how we got everyone to stay. We brought the buildings, not like other people who just didn't do it. We brought all those 50 buildings up to code, right? So we kept winning. We kept suing them for money, which then bankrolled our endeavor. And they couldn't find anything wrong with what we did. And after 3 years of this, they sent the police in. And the anarchists wanted to we'll shoot them. No. What we did, we had this one building full of Puerto Rican artists. And there was the Nuevo Rican Poetry Cafe there. Mike, what's his name? I forget. Anyway, really famous Puerto Rican poet. And we would send the beautiful Puerto Rican women poets and musicians and dancers to go play and read and perform dance and poetry to the police. And after 8 months, we went through the whole New York Police Department to the point where we humanized ourselves to the police and they wouldn't beat us up. We got the police on our side. And we didn't do it by threatening them or screaming at them or telling them that they were rotten. We read them poetry. Now, if Black Lives Matters did this, I think things would be different for them, right? And the Black community is like, the essence of the cultural dynamic of the Aboriginal, the first person, of the beauty of what love's co-creation is. So it'd be pretty good if they kind of picked that up. And my whole dealing with that scene for the last 60 years is the people I worked with of different race and gender, and how we stopped, the No Nukes campaign and the Stop Shoreham campaign and other nuclear power campaigns we had. We did it through culture and art and fun, right? So anyway, last night, I was so cold in bed. Now I was warm under my sheets, right? I got an electric blanket, about 12, sleeping bags. So I was warm, but the air was still this moist coldness. When you see on the thing, it's 27 degrees, but feels like it's 49 below zero. Well, that's because usually there's the moisture in the air and the wind is blowing a little bit, right? So there I am in the box, and it's this moistness, coldness. So I could, every time I tried to just bury my head under my covers, my head would be warm, but I would be breathing my own breath, and it made my body to a point where it was uncomfortable, so it didn't fall asleep. And then I took some melatonin, and that interacted with my little jab. And so the last 72 hours, I've had some real amazing dreams because of the jab. And different parts of my body have gone, oh, what's this? Because of the jab. But, I haven't gotten sick. I haven't shown any kind of, what you would think of a flu, but just weirdness, like the feeling of this place where my hand got blown off. And I felt what it felt like when it got blown. And it was like the jab caused a certain thing between my subconscious and superconscious mind, my dream time, and my body, right? And if you go to xratted.blogspot.com and read my stuff, there's one of my, you know, little drifts that I constantly go on about is that we are not our bodies. We are our souls. We are a spiritual entity living um, in a body, and our body is an avatar, so we can have experience. That's what it's all about. Our bodies, our illusionary material life is a sandbox for our soul to learn. And we are not sinners. You know, that is just a business scam, right? And religions are businesses. To get control, get power, get money. It's all a scam, right? And just like our politics are all a scam, right? Go read HR 1871. In 1871, they passed right after the Civil War. One of the major reasons what the Civil War was about was France and England wanted to economically take, America back. And so they said, well, we seemingly can't do it when we attack them. The War of 1812, good example, and same with the Revolutionary War. So why don't we, manifest a conflict with inside their country, and they'll have a civil war, and we'll take it over. And that's what 1871, HR 1871. And what it did was, after the Civil War, Lincoln's a smart enough guy, and he gave a speech saying, listen, this Civil War wasn't just about slavery. It was about a means of production. And so I will not, over my dead body, there's a lot of political, a lot of money people, a lot of folks wanting to make corporations, be represented by the Constitution, not by the legal system. And he said, I will not embrace, maritime law. And that's what England used maritime law to codify law in all the countries that they imperially took over. And so they could own everybody, right? And so I'm not doing that. We just fought a war not to do that. I am not just going to sign a piece of paper saying we're going to do that. Well, he gets, 10 days after, he says, over my dead body. 10 days later, he's dead. And Johnson takes over, gets a nice bunch of bling, and he basically lets them put a Sharpie through the Constitution where it says, we the people. All these folks, our new, Supreme Court, who's so religious, we are, religious freedom means we don't have a religious government. And so all these people who keep going on about how, our exceptionalism because God made it so. Really? Mm-hmm. God, like if you go read the history books, that's why Howard Zinn's pretty good to start off with, because he will tell you a bunch of things that you go, no one ever told me this. And then you can very simply, go look at it and, in a deep, and you have that nice little smartphone, you can go Google about, oh, this never happened. Like a good example is the, we hear all this great stuff about the Pilgrims and how we have Thanksgiving, blah, 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 right? So allegedly after that, they're in Massachusetts and they nearly die. And the Pasquin, or however you pronounce their name, which was a big tribe in that neck of the woods, basically helped them out, showed them what to eat in the forest, nursed them back to health, all the above. And then, the next year they have a nice little party, and then the winter, and again, they help them out. They show them winter crops. And then that spring, the guy who is the colonel of, of the English guys who were the Pilgrims, they go and they kill that tribe, 600 people. And they they sneak in there at night. And the other interesting thing, the Indians showed them pitch. And they said, here, this stuff kind of comes out of the ground and it's very sticky and it burns. You can use it to start fires. I mean, that's how we keep our fires going, and it's also a great insulator. Our wigwams. We covered it with this stuff, and it keeps the water from coming in. So they had all of their wigwams were covered in pitch, and the white men went over there, and while all these people were asleep, and set because their things, it's like their houses were made out of gasoline. They kind of just put the flame to it, woof, and they burned out of the 600 or so, 900 people. They burned about 500. I mean, terribly, screaming and people running around on fire. And then as they came running out, they would just hit them with their swords or shoot them. And that's America. That's the white Anglo-Saxon WASP. You know, um, you know, exceptionalism. We can do this because we're exceptional. We're not like everybody else. We're really good, even though we're killing everyone. And then you look at all the wars we had, all the Indian wars, right? Only good Indians are dead Indian. Then the Revolutionary War, right? War of 1812, the war with all the Indians as we moved west. Because one of the reasons we had a revolution was that the English drew a line because they had relationships with all these Indian tribes that they were getting stuff from, right? And so they said, okay, we're going to make a treaty where everything west of like New Jersey is yours, and we'll stay over here, right? Okay, good enough, good to go. And once we had a revolution and then had our constitution, nowhere in it said anything about women, black folk, people of color, or Indians. All of those people were persona non grata. They weren't even human, only white males. And those white males had to have money, right? Okay, so let's see. 32 minutes and 6 seconds. Haven't seen a single, I mean, I can't even see the screen. So somebody's been writing something. So that's great. But I don't see any thumbs up. And there's only 5 of you. Come on. One reason why I don't have a big thing is that I can't get above 388. It's really amazing because I'm always kind of around 388. And once it gets above 390 and it kind of starts to go towards 400, which is one of those benchmarks where the algorithm would show me to more people, um, you know, I never get above 388, right? And a lot of people go to the dude awake 42 at Gmail and say, hey, I'm not being notified anymore. What did I say anything? Did I get taken off? And a lot of people have just been bounced off. Not me. I have no idea about how to do that. And so, anyway, how about some thumbs up? How about you go to my xrattep.blogspot.com and go read my writings and make comments there and go onto my Gmail, my dude awake 42 at Gmail, make some comments there. And a lot of people, I have at least 100 folk who over the years have contacted me, and I got a problem. What do you think about this, Sensei? And I am happy to talk to you. As a good friend, as your Sensei, listen and just tell you a story as a griot. Not describe or notate or do anything like that. Just tell you a story. So it seems to help a lot of folk. And I'm freely offering it to you. And like I said, if you want to put anything on my PayPal, which you can do at going to the dude awake 42 at Gmail, that's where my PayPal is. It works. A lot of people, and not everyone gives a lot of money, but some do. About $100 or more. I think the largest I ever got was $220, which was great because it just kept me from getting my electricity turned off. And that's kind of how my life is rolling. It's like whatever I need. Love's co-creation delivers it, right? And I don't have to say, oh, I got to pay my bills. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a laundry list. I am just happy to be alive. And like last night, when I couldn't go to sleep because every time I tried to meditate and get these, instead of breathing through my nose, I would relax and I'd be breathing through my mouth. And that cold air would dry, even though it's moist, would dry my mouth out to the point where you know. So I'd wake up, I'd make myself a cup of chamomile sleepy time tea. I sit at my writing chair, reading chair. I'd read um, a little bit more of what Paulie M said. I'm reading Paulie M now, and so and also a few other people. And I'm rereading all of the myths, everybody's myths, not just the Greeks, not the Romans, but everybody, the African and the Persian and the Indian and the Chinese and the um, Celts and everybody's. And because I'm writing, and so I'm churning in all of these characters from all these different cultural mythologies into my writing. So you should go to X-rated, XRATTED.blogspot.com and look at my writings and give me a little, and anybody who's in the publishing field, man, I would love to get a wider audience. And I'm just putting it up on the internet um, because it's a good place to hang it, right? And that's because somebody gave me this laptop that's, a Chromebook. And I had to, walk the 2 miles here, And, I walked the 2 miles because, last 2 days, we had a lot of snow, a lot of ice. I was stuck in the box for 2 or 3 days. And then it rained. It rained and rained and rained. And it went above 40, got to 50. So it kind of, anything that the sun could hit, it would freeze. I mean, it would melt it. So I walked the 2 miles to my neighbor's house, walked way up the hill and then down the hill, and everything was melted. But when I got to going from his driveway down to his house, there are these steps, about 30 something steps, and they were covered in ice. And they are, whoever made those steps, those people were doing crack when they did it because none of them are the same height, same of the, it is totally against code. It's suicide. Even when it's summertime and dry, it's suicide. But when they're covered in ice and there's no railing, but I was motivated to come talk to you and see how that was, and come here, right? And my Chromebook was slowing way down, so I wanted to keep writing. I had to, bring that up on the internet and let it do its thing to get refreshed. And so I wanted to do this little storytelling to you and give you across the board how things are going. And yes, go to xratted.blogspot.com. Go check out my writing, leave comments. How about some thumbs up there, kids? Come on, let's see some thumbs up. How about telling your friends? How about getting some other? Let's get above 500 by the end of February. Then I could do it on my phone, and I don't have my phone at the moment because it died. I need to replace the battery and the this and the that, and so I'm doing that, and that would be a nice thing if folks would go to my the dude awake 42 at Gmail and put some cash in there because it's going to cost a couple $100 to at least 100 to fix, if not more. Anyway, so that's the story. What else? So what's going to happen? So if you thought 2020 was wild, crazy, scary ride, carnival ride, 2021, just look what happened by the first 6 days, right? And what's happened in between. I mean, there is so much stuff. And all those people, the 75 million who voted for Donnie, he represented their angst. He spoke to them, even though, he doesn't represent them. I mean, if you want to look at somebody with a platinum spoon in their mouth, it's that moron. And he grew up in Queens in a neighborhood that was basically all Ku Klux Klan. And again, don't believe a word I say. Go check it out. Go read his niece's, who's a psychotherapist. Go read her book on him. Go read all the books, all the guys who went, like everyone who was in his cabinet to begin with went there. Like the good example is whatever that guy's name is, who was the president CEO of Exxon, and then he becomes the Secretary of State. He did that to do things for Exxon, you know, and not for anybody else. And once he took care of that, he had it with Donnie. So he called, he one day let it slip that guy, walked out of a meeting, exasperated, and there's the media goes, that guy's a moron. Next day he's fired because that's what Donnie was programmed to do because he had a TV show called The Apprentice. And what was Donnie? He was the apprentice. He was the apprentice for this, right? Uh, to be the disruptor, right? He is like the amazing disruptor, right? And that is, that's why I like Donnie. He lied so much, you know, Washington Post said he did something like 300,000 lies, and they call them lies, not misspoken. And, but every time he lied, he would tell the truth because he lied so much, he'd go 180, right? And he would say, fake news. Well, he was right, man. Media has been fake since they figured out how to press symbols into clay, back in the, you know, 60,000 years ago. And that was just, that was then. We had, if you want to know what humans, where they came from, what we were, good old Star Wars is it because what's that guy's name? George Lucas sat at the foot of the anthropologist storyteller who wrote the book Myth of the Hero, Joseph Campbell. And basically, you read Joseph Campbell's book, and you read my stuff, and it's straight out of the mouth of all these other griots that are pretty famous. Plato, Shakespeare, you name it. And I don't like per se, um, you know, plagiarize them, but I do use, their motifs culturally, right? And I always give them a tip of the hat. George Lucas did not do that. He said, I invented all of this. It's all me. He's like, a talented version of Donnie Yump, Donnie Chump, right? And, I'm like Dooney Chump. And Dooney, I play with their names just like Dooney does. He gives everybody Lion, what's his name? When he was running, before he ran for president, he gave all the Republicans nicknames that weren't flattering. So I do the same, so no one can sue me. Dooney Yump. And so that's a character in one of my books. But really, he's not. You don't hear Dooney say anything. People just talk about Dooney, right? And so because that's what people in the media do today. So Dooney was put there. There isn't a legislator that isn't put there, meaning no one wins. No one runs. We have the best legislators money can buy. Everybody who is a name face in media, they're making at least $30,000 a day. A day. And I live on $4,800 a year. And before I walked the 2 miles up the hill here, I was sitting on my porch. I mean, it's just, not even a porch, but it's a flat space that I can roll around in my wheelchair. And I won't, fall off a cliff or roll down the thing. It's the safety. And I have a big table that I can put, write on, put my laptop on, and put, books up there. And I have a covering, tarps. So if it's raining, I can roll underneath the tarps. And in the morning, the sun comes straight at that table, lights it up. But as the sun travels around, a shadow, the tarps cover it up. So if it's in summertime too hot, I can be shaded. So it's a perfect spot. So I call it my whatever. Anyway, so I sat in the sun today, and it was great. I was looking at my thermometer, and it said it was 16 degrees. and my little pinwheel wind thing was zipping around. But because I was in the sun, I was just like I am now, nice and toasty. I mean, it's 16 degrees outside, and I don't even need to wear my little mittens, right? So if we only did that, so nobody, wants to give me a thumbs up, eh? How many folks are there? Actually, I can't even see. I think there's 3, maybe 2, maybe, well, who knows? Anyway, how long have I been doing this now? 45 minutes, and I can't even see what time it is. I mean, it would be nice if these guys actually use. I mean, who in their right mind has a screen? See, people say, "Oh, you can change that." I have a black screen with the thing where my TV screen, where there I am. Then over here, where the chat is, it's black, and it has a kind of um, not white. If it was like super white, it would be great, right? But it's a kind of whitish blue that just can't even see it. And that's why I tell you to put everything in capitals, because if I'm in the dark, I can kind of use glasses. But here I am in the super duper sun with only one pair of glasses that has. And the thing about Dollar Tree glasses, thank you, Dollar Tree. I mean, they're built pretty good. Unless you step on them, they don't break. The lenses work, but I don't know what plastic they make these lenses out of, but they absorb grease like you can't believe. You can't, you have to buy this cleansing spray that they sell at the Dollar Tree, and you can clean it. But who's carrying around a, but if they were glass, you can just use a, paper towel, and they'd be nice. But the paper towel, unless you use that spray, just smushes the grease. So I'm looking at it, and I'm just a kind of gauzy. I feel like I'm in Penthouse magazine, right? And back in the '70s when they would take the pictures of the girls in the gauzy look. So I can't see anything. So I'm just strolling along here, guys, um, and I walked 2 miles to lay this down to you. So it'd be nice if you gave me at least one thumbs up, maybe 5, maybe 20. Maybe go get some of your friends to watch this thing. And I'm telling you, I would really, really suggest that if you like this show, to start putting them on thumbs drives. And there was a guy named Dragon early on. He was from Canada or Scotland or someplace, and he was really great. And he would put them on thumb drives and send them to me. And then, um, he had gotten the first maybe 60 to 100 shows on 4 or 5 thumb drives, and he drew me these. He sent me these drawings that he did when he was 11, and they were all about what we talk about in guided meditation. This is when I was doing a lot of guided meditations, and he was kind of blown away by that. And he was really great. We really had a conversation, and then he was knocked off, right? And then he kind of got a hold of me, and he was kind of upset. I did all this stuff for you, and what was wrong? What did I do wrong? And I said, nothing. And it was that some troll, some entity, um, didn't like the kind of connection we were having, and got rid from there, just like they've gotten rid of a lot of other folk, right? So I would suggest that you start to, pick the top 10, top 100, top whatever, because they've already gotten rid of 1 year's worth of my shows because YouTube said, oh, you fit in a certain algorithm, you have this many people watching, and you have a lot of time going up in the cloud. And unless you get above 500 or preferably above 1,000, if you're above 1,000, they don't really mess with you because then you become equitable for their making money. Um, and when I first started doing this, they came to me and said, "You're great. We're going to put you at the front of the algorithm. You'll be rich. You'll be famous. You'll be an A-lister. You'll be all these things. We just want to be, we want you to be you. You don't have to change anything except a few of the things you talk about. You can still tell stories. We love the old crone, blah, 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 blah. But when you start putting the dots together, we don't like that. So just stop that, and we'll make you rich. We'll make you famous. We'll put you at the top of the algorithm." And I said, "Oh, wow, I feel really flattered. I really like that. Thank you very much. But I have to think about it more." And so after about 6 months of me saying, "Oh, I have to think about it more," they just, did a hack job on me. Wouldn't let me go above 400. Started cutting individuals off, and then the beginning of September, September 8th, last September 8th, that was my 2 year anniversary, and they took off one whole year of my shows without any real, just they weren't there anymore. Right now, people have said, "Oh, well, you can find them if you use this code and do that and da da da." Well, I would suggest to anybody who's really sharp on this, me, I can barely see the screen. Go document, put it into a server, into a hard drive, into a thumb drive, into a CD-ROM, because I would say this year is going to be more crazy than whatchamacallit, than 2020 was. Right? There's going to be more variants. The other thing is so the internet was hacked, right? Somebody hacked all into the government servers. They went to this company that runs people something or other that's instrumental in their running the thing, and then those people got into that, and through that they got into everyone's um, internet. I would say this year the whole internet is going to crash, go bye bye, not come back ever again, and it will be replaced by Elon Musk, and your cell phones will go away. You will have no more social media, period. Right? And Facebook, Google, Twitter, TikTok, all of those guys will join forces with Elon Musk, who's now putting 50,000 satellites up in space. Before Elon started doing this, there were only 4,500 satellites in amongst the whole world up there. Sputnik is still up there, and he's putting 50,000 up there. So your Elon Musk cell phone will not have to go to some tower over there. Won't have to be this. It'll be straight up. There will always be a satellite over your head. And the power of 5G will be more than enough to get from your little cell phone up to space, because there'll be no rocks, no trees, no mountains in between, which is straight up. And they will really know where you are, right? And everyone, because they will go through we are at a reset, right? And a reset, they really have to put the squeeze on the lemon even more to reset we want. So, 2021 is going to be even more lockdown than you can even think, right? And, so I live out there in the really, really super duper, beyond rural. I live in the forest, I'm like part of the Brother Grimm. So, I tried to do a little errands because we're supposed to have the worst of the kind of weather that I can't live with. And what is that? That is not snow. Snow, if I get 2 or 3 inches of snow, it's great. My 4-wheel drive goes through it, no problem. But what we're going to have for the next 4 days, because it's going to be right on this little line between too cold and not cold enough, we're going to have icy rain for 4 days. So we're going to have a skating rink over the 200 square miles. It's going to be a mess. So I'm not going nowhere. I got enough food to last me a couple of weeks. Hopefully, this time next week, it'll get up into the 50s. Saturday or Monday or whatever day it was, we had this thing come through. I guess it was Monday. It was the day that Alabama got those tornadoes, and it affected us. It was 70 degrees here. And the next day it was 16. That is not normal. Yes, you can have a fluctuation, but not in less than 24 hours. And we started to have precipitation. We started to get sleet. But at a certain, the air where I am is kind of like a layer cake. And so it would be sleet, then snow, then this and that, and then it would come and hit this. And what I didn't have a phone to document it, but what it was were little styrofoam balls. What's in our sky that instead of getting sleet or snow, we get styrofoam balls, right? And then it sleeted on top of that, so it froze above it. And then as the other day, I guess it was Wednesday, Thursday, got warm enough for everything to kind of melt up, and it rained. rain. So whatever was left was kind of rained away. And in the corners, of where, you know, trees are and where the sun doesn't really shine there, when you live in a forest, there are a lot of places where the sun, you can get warm. Anyway, there were big, piles of the snowy kind of stuff. And it got warm enough where the snow kind of melted and then the ice kind of melted. And then what was left were big piles of these styrofoam little balls. So I kind of scooped them up in a cup and I put them in the sun. And next time this happened, when I get my phone back and I can make videos of things, um, the sun just didn't melt it. It interacted with the styrofoam balls, and the styrofoam turned into a green smoke. It's like they dissolved in a chemical process with the ultraviolet and the heat of the sun, and it turned into a wisp of green smoke. So, kids, we're living in a time that woo. Why do you think your sensei Al Bob is living out in the middle of the woods? Why do you think he bought this? He knew this was coming, right? So I'm in a place where, you know you can kind of hear the county road over there, and that's 5 miles over there. That's how sound travels around here. There's certain places in the woods I can hear people talk on their front porches a mile away, right? So, but normally I don't hear anything because I have this dirt road that I live on, and then I get on a forest road, and then which is again stone. It's just crushed run. But when it rains a lot, it snows, it is muddy, and that mud ice, and that's the worst of the worst, right? So, then there is it's not even a county road, but it is a paved road, a kind of paved road, and that leads to a county road. And then the county road leads to the state road. And there's only one state road in these 200 square miles around here that is a pretty, the state road's a pretty good road, and it goes from, one big city to another, in a 60-mile path. And that's where the big trucks run on. And yet that road is like, it goes through the Sawtooth Mountain Range where I live, the accordion 200 square miles between the Appalachian Mountain Range and the Blue Ridge Mountain Range. And, it's, unless you know that road, I know every square inch of it. And it really dips down and takes hard things, and it's really beautiful. I mean, year round, even in the winter when there's no trees on, it's pretty amazingly gorgeous. And even if it's raining or foggy, it's pretty amazing, right? And so people drive on it who don't know the road, and trucks, big trucks, tractor trailers are on this road. Whenever I get on it and go either way for more than 5 miles, I pass because it's going through from the interstate 81 and 26 are about 50 miles over that away, and to get to a corner of of Virginia and North Carolina, if you took 26 or 81 or 40, you would drive maybe 200 miles. But if you take the 60-mile road of this very bendy county road and then a state road, it's only 60 miles. So those trucks, instead of taking who know it well, know every turn like I do, they slow down, they do this. But the guys who this first time, because you're doing this all the time. And so, trying to get up that thing. So you try to don't hit the brakes going down because you're going to go back up. So you're trying to, but if there's a 90-degree, you don't know it's there. Ooh. So this summer we've had I've been here 20 years, and on the average, there is a pretty bad crash, maybe 20 times a year. Well, this summer, because of the pandemic and all the rich people from Charlotte and Atlanta and other places are coming around here looking for a place to hide out, because a lot of rich people have built nice houses around the lake, and so there's probably I don't know 200 or 300 really nice $1 million houses around the lake, but the lake is 1,200 miles coastline. Right, so you're not right next to each other. There are other TVA lakes where they built stuff on it, and the lake is like sewage and motor oil, and not this lake. And so those rich people built it, and then when they went to live there, they couldn't stand it because they're 50 miles close to Walmart. They don't have any internet. They have no TV. They have, no nothing. They have to read books. They can't stand doing that. They have to play music. They don't know how. And so they all turned their little chateaus into Airbnbs. And so we have a big influx. And that was one of the things that brought the pandemic into us because all these people from Florida and other places, when they were really hit hard, New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, Florida, um, kind of Atlanta, back in March, April, May, came here and went to those Airbnbs, and they didn't wear masks, and neither did the people around here. And then there's a ICE prison that's privately owned that was built for 300 when the state owned it, and the private company sticks 1,800 people in there. And there was an old folks home, and so there was a basic trailer camp that the guards in the prisons lived there, and their wives worked in the old folks home, right? So ICE guys put all these really sick people into that place because it was a place that no one even kind of knew was there, and no one seemed to care about it. And so the guys who were the guards, they got sick. They passed it to their wives. The wives took it over to the old folks. Old folks really started to die. The folks who owned that thing were the same people who owned the prison, who owned the hospital. What did they do? They closed the hospital. They fired the lady who was in charge of public health. The state and the Social Security offices closed, so you couldn't even. You had to go online. Couldn't even call them, and the so no one took records on who was dying, and so the one place that you could point at and say, "Oh, look at that," was the old folks, because everyone around here had their old folks in those things. So the old folks and sent them home, which then spread it all around the three counties. And that's kind of what they were just taking the the play. Their playbook was the same as the rest of the corporate of America, and that's why corporate America, has close to 400,000 people dead and close to 100 million folk infected, right? So. And wait till the two variants you're talking about. It's like, ooh, that's scary. Wait till the ones that are really scary. I mean, what we're going through is nothing, like, and everything Donnie said, oh, it's just like flu. Well, it is. A lot of people died from flu. I mean, the last really bad flu we had in, I don't know when it was, 2007 or 2015 or somewhere like that, you know, 300,000 people died. Very close to, we're doing, a little more. But anyway, all I can say is everything that you're experiencing now is part of the sandbox, right? So, how did I sleep last night, right? Well, I said, I would get up and I would, drink some tea, read a book, write a paragraph or two. And then my computer slowed down and slowed down and slowed down to the point I couldn't write anymore. And then I was getting really tired, but I would get back to bed, get in the warmness, get underneath, and I wouldn't fall asleep. So I had to do satsang. What is satsang? Satsang is when you sit in meditation and you just don't blank everything out. You look at everything and then you move it off to the side. Okay, there's that. Your laundry list. It's really running like a little squirrel in the back there all the time. Even if you're meditating, even if you're doing great. I had all these great meditative masters, guys from India, little guys who wore, diapers and a turban, and they were my teachers, and they were great masters, and so they would tell me about this. I had my true master, Akashi K. He told me about it too. About you know that this thing is always running. The squirrel is always running back there. Your ego is always running. So I had to go. I went back there and I was just going through the laundry list and the more I kind of got rid of the, that's not, okay, I see why that happened. Okay. And I just kept going through it. While I was doing, it was like counting sheep. And fell asleep. So I got to go to sleep around 3 o'clock, but I slept till 11. So I got my 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I got my 8 hours. So I feel fine. The one thing I probably shouldn't have done, someone gave me. Um, so a lot of people around here grow their own food, slaughter their own animals, and there's a buddy of mine who makes the best bacon, the best pork there is. And especially when it's really cold, he'll drive by if he can get down my roads with that thing, and he will leave me a bunch of canned stuff and a bunch of pork stuff. And he has these, Dollar General styrofoam coolers, that cost him like $1.50, $1.50, and he'll pack it up with stuff and he'll leave it there. So by the time I show up, it's still cool or not spoiled, not in the sun. And so he left me some bacon. Ooh, really good bacon. And the thing I love best about that bacon is when I cook it up, how it smells. It's like, oh, it's like you know unbelievable, right? And and I cook it till it's really crisp, and then I kind of put it on the paper napkin, and I let it dry out, and then eating it is like ecstasy, right? But last time I cooked some up the other day, I didn't cook it all the way because I was hungry, and I stuck it in on the paper towel in the microwave and hit it with the microwave for a few moments, and it doesn't do the same thing alchemically to that, right? And it still keeps more fat on it, and some people like that, but I like it when it's just the crispiness of the meat of the bacon, and but this stuff was still had a nice bit of fat on it. Still tasted amazing, so I ate it about half of it. And that was another thing that kind of um, bothered me last night. There were a few things I ate that I probably shouldn't have eaten before now, right? And anyway, so I came back from trying to do my little errands before the snow apocalypse and the super duper cold comes. But that's only about be 3 or 4 days. I think after that we're gonna have spring because it says it's supposed to be 40, 50 degrees every freaking day. Until I can't see any more days. And my little almanac says it's going to be really warm February, March, April. They said we're going to have early spring. And all the little buddy guys on my plants, they're all ready for it. And the grass is still growing. It hasn't really turned brown or died. And so I ate that bacon today, and it was good. But as soon as I finished it, and it's down in my tum tum, and it's going through the process, it kind of was like, oh yeah, what time did I? Oh, good. It was about 1 o'clock. So I think that was early enough. I won't go to bed till 11. So through my peristalsis, it should all go there. Okay, so now the darkness has come across my eyes. Maybe I can read. So fish. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Fish, and then you, whatever. I hear you went to vet and got all your shots. Vet. Yeah, still interested in being my dog. Oh, yeah, that's Yo-Yo. So Yo-Yo, tell me about yourself. You know. So what is how did your parents treat you? Were you bullied as a child, or were you the bully? Right. Um, what do you read? What's the last book you read? Right. Who is your guiding light? Who is the person who you find as instrumental in you being a good person? Hmm? Yo-Yo, tell me. So, how many brothers and sisters had you had, and did they pick on you? And when you were in kindergarten to third grade, how did you feel about yourself? Well, isn't that special? You know, you're so special, Yo-Yo. You know, you must be a Libra because you bounce back and forth. And what is the best thing you can say about me? Or your no, forget me, right? What's the best thing you can say about yourself? Yo-Yo, tell me the best things you do. You know, and folks, Yo-Yo here is great example of what's going on in our land. Because Yo-Yo, I don't have even a clue who Yo-Yo is, but I can just sense, the angst and the self-loathing, you know, and the sexual, um, innuendo of not knowing whether what gender or what specific category his emotional, psychological, which then bleeds over into his worldview, right? So, Yo-Yo, what religion are you? Oh, Yo-Yo is the voice of truth. What is truth? Rudy Giuliani is truly amazing because I saw him being interviewed by one of the C-SPAN guys, not C-SPAN, CNN guys, and they were talking about this. And in the space of, you know, you know, I don't know, a minute, the guy says this. Rudy responds to it, and then the guy goes, "What are you talking about? It can't be that because you said this the other day." And then Rudy goes, "I didn't say anything. I didn't say that." And he goes, "You just said, I'll roll the tape back. You just said it. You're not telling the truth." And Rudy goes, "There is no such thing as truth. You know, it's all fake news." And so that is Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo doesn't exist. He's fake news. I'm blowing my chance of being a stork. Oh, Yo-Yo. Oh, come on. Let's see some real vitriol from you. You're such a putz. You can't even get there. You are so sexually hung up. You want somebody to be your dog. Come on. Let's hear it from you, buddy. Come on, Yo-Yo. What gender are you? Do you even come from this planet, or are you a Chinese artificial intelligent, um, thing? Oh God, Yo-Yo. Well, that's enough of Yo-Yo. Oh, boo, 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 boo. Do, 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 do. Bingo. So, but see, at least Yo-Yo said something. Come on, guys. There's about 5 of you there, right? 6 of you now, right? And only 1 thumbs up. Come on. I kind of got rid of Yo-Yo because he didn't even follow. Oh, you're losing the chance of being your dog. So he wouldn't even say what gender he was or it was, or how he felt or his family background or any story he wanted to say. All he wanted to do was be a troll, right? And it's pretty clear that there was no, him, because a lot of people, when I first started, there were a lot of people who go, "Oh, let me be the person who controls your channel, and I'll make blah blah blah, and I'll make sure you don't get any trolls, blah blah blah." Well, there were a lot of people who were angry and upset and hurt, and they came on and they said stuff, but it was about them and life and the world, and not like this, right? Not about me, because this channel really isn't about me. Again, I'm a greot. I tell you these stories to give you an avenue to talk about yourself, right? And Yo-Yo, he didn't do that. So once I realized about the 3 little dots on the side, I just hide those guys or put them in the trash can, And the syntax of Yo-Yo, this is why I think it's either a artificial bot or a singular individual. And that individual, if it is a human being, that individual has, really has, because it's always sexual innuendo. You can be my dog, meaning that person loves me. And in actuality, I love everyone, even Yo-Yo there, even you, I love. Because if you are a human being and obviously you're hurting, I empathize with that. I understand. And, it's really sad that you have this opportunity to talk to a community that could, and so that's what happened. Earlier on, the first 5, 6 months, we had the cadre. And what was beautiful about it, it was about, it was almost 500 people, and they created friendships amongst each other, and we had to, so say we all, right? And there was a real bond, right? And it was a positive bond. And all these people who were really hurting and who were hurting themselves with, addictions and just, negative attitudes towards themselves, virtually all of them, you know, patched up that and started to get a life and stopped being addictive, right? And we're like, wow, you are the best. And they're still there. I mean, and they now no longer sit in front of the screen and they comment every now and then instead of every time I go on. And that's really great. I mean, back in the day when I was, working for shrinks, my whole attitude was to help people heal themselves and get them out the door. And my bosses would say, no. We want to keep them on the string. Their insurance is really good. We want them to come here twice a week for the next 20 years. That's the way I can buy that other house down in the Hamptons, so. And that's the problem with medicine. It's motivated that way. So it's 1 hour, 16 minutes and 57 seconds. So I'm going to go pretty quick from here. And because the sun is leaving, and now it's, here I am, the lights right over here. It's cold over here. It's warmish, not like what it was. So, and the sun is still on the step. So I before it freezes up again, I got to go. So I came all this way just to tell you, I love you guys. And I probably won't see you for a few days because it depends on the weather. Right. And so, if and we dodged a bullet a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. So, and my prayers have been always answered. So if I keep at it, it won't be that bad. And then it'll be in the 50s and springtime will be here and it'll be all good. Okay. I love you guys. Okay. When it hits 1:18:18, I'm going to go. Okay. So I love you. Fish. You stay well, my friend. And the other 6 or 7 of you who are there, I love you. I love you. Okay, there we go. Here we're coming up on it. And boy, that sun moves quick, moves quick. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit, bless us indeed, enlarge our territory, put your hands upon our shoulders, keep us from evil, so we will do no harm. So in every day and every way, we can take the piece of your earth, your co-creating love, and make it stronger. In love's name, so say we all. Okay, gang, catch you later. Till next time. And go read my stuff on xratted.blogspot.com. Get hold of me at the dude awake 42 at Gmail. I love you all. Okay. And remember my PayPal if you want to. Okay. And thank you for everyone who has. I'll catch you later. Do.